everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Well. It's been over a month since I uploaded, but I'm giving myself a pass because I've been super busy with moving house and other deadlines. I'm gonna be putting up a recent painting for A Night in the Woods that I did in Procreate. I started playing this game in November when I got the virus and had to stay home for a while. Although the game's short, it's supposed to be like 8 hours or something, I still haven't finished it and I ended up putting it off. Definitely intend on finishing it next month though. I still don't know where the story's going, so I'm avoiding spoilers, but I love the art style. It's been giving me lots of ideas for my own work and I've been wanting to draw something for it for several months. Anyway, here I am. I finally got to sit down a bit and work on some art goals for 2022 and create an action plan for some of the issues I still struggle with as a non-full-time artist. Hopefully this is the year where I can finally tackle some of these struggles head-on. The plan is to create a system that fits within my daily lifestyle and time constraints. I'm switching gears and focusing on creating a sustainable system I can stick to rather than an end goal. I've been trying my best to stick to goals I had set for myself over the past few years, and I would hit some but miss most of them. I learned not to be hard on myself because my job is very draining. I know I don't have the time or the stamina at the end of the workday to hit every goal I set in my art journey, so this led me to the decision to change perspective a bit this year. If you're also someone who struggles to find enough time to see any significant improvement in your work, you're not alone. I understand how frustrating this is and how panic-inducing it can be, literal years flying by with you being unable to produce a significant enough body of high-quality work that can open doors for you to shift into a full-time art career, whether it's illustration, animation, concept art, whichever. And this is not made any easier by the fact that all over the world, there's this crazy belief by so many people that they are entitled to your skills and to your art for free, or for a price so unrealistic and so unlivable, you're better off literally not doing anything at all. I draw the line at paying someone money to give them art they want. This is ludicrous. I'm not gonna go into my strategy in this video just yet, since it's not set in stone and I still want to try some things to see if the plan is realistic. But I want to share some of the struggles and challenges I deal with as an artist. These are the recurring struggles I'm trying to address through that action plan I want to incorporate into my life. I've tried to narrow it down into 5 main struggles, and the first thing I struggle with a lot is stretching myself thin and not focusing on just 1 or 2 things until I see worthwhile results. In other words, consistent goals and consistent progress towards these set goals. For example, I'm constantly shifting between wanting to become amazing at human anatomy to then switching to animal anatomy because a project I'm working on required it, but then I realize I completely neglected background painting and so I try to create time for that, but then I end up so tight on time, the end product just still looks amateurish. Then I swing right back into Disney-inspired art style for other kinds of projects. Add to that, I'm constantly creating concepts for worlds and storylines and possible projects I want to update online on a weekly or monthly basis, but then it doesn't happen. Because my day job is so time-consuming, I end up not sharing these projects at all because I despise starting a project and getting people invested and then not finishing it. I hate this so much and it fills me with anxiety and self-deprecation. In the end, I work hard, but I have nothing tangible to show for it, you know what I mean? There is no finished or semi-finished end product that I can confidently show off. No completed show, no stable ongoing comic, no game, no tangible product. It's all disconnected. Unfinished concepts, unfinished ideas that weren't realized because I couldn't stick to it long enough to make it work. I've listened to the advice of full-time artists on this, and their advice is usually to try to find a less physically and mentally draining job, so you can still have the stamina at the end of the day to work on your art and get things off the ground. This advice is sound in theory, but out of reach for most people. In many countries, it's extremely hard to quote-unquote get another easier job, not when the economy is a hair away from disaster and unemployment is super high where you are. Which is why a part of the system I want to create for myself is to focus on a project I can work on that's a tangible product that people can enjoy, but is not mentally taxing to create and is not too technically difficult. That's easier said than done, of course, because drawing is hard. Like, non-artists have this ridiculous idea that we can hold a pencil with our toes while lying in bed playing video games, when us artists know this is the farthest thing from reality. Drawing is hard. Drawing requires a lot of mental work and studying, and it's labor intensive and takes a long while to produce something that resembles an actual product people can use and enjoy. Yeah, so that's the first struggle. The second thing I still struggle with is needing so many references of so many things. And when I don't have the reference I want, I put things off, and I've begun to notice something. I used to use photos for reference cause that's what's accessible to me, but now I've reached that, I don't know what to call it, experience, age, where using photos just doesn't quite feel enough anymore. It's like my brain finally caught up with the concept of volume as an adult, and I want to see things in real life, not in a photo, to truly understand what it looks like, how it works, how the light affects it, and so on. But of course, seeing the real thing isn't really accessible in most situations, so if you're just trying to find relevant photos and you can't, the whole project kind of just freezes. And tying in with the whole reference thing, I still haven't really reached a point where I can comfortably draw stuff I've drawn from reference before purely from memory. I know the skill comes with drawing the thing 1,000 times, and I know memory is different from person to person and all that, but when I'm in a place and I only have my sketchbook and pencil but no internet and no reference, that's a wasted opportunity right there. I may have no chance and no time to draw anything decent again for the rest of the week, or even in the month, because the reference wasn't there. It creates a mental disconnect somehow, and this is one of the biggest problems I need to create a system for, so this doesn't keep happening. Now, the third thing I struggle with is not knowing which projects I should prioritize. As a concept artist, I'm constantly writing down and sketching ideas and concepts for various media, books, comics, indie games, animated shorts, illustrated books. And then comes the monumental task of picking one thing and seeing it to the end. And that's where I keep collapsing. I'm always second guessing which idea will be the most well received, which product will be the most wanted. The decision making on this is admittedly hampered by my hectic work schedule. It's more about that than about being indecisive, but a particularly busy year at work can literally throw a whole year's worth of art goals out the window. And this is what happened with me in 2021. I failed to meet the majority of my art goals because I was too stretched even after official work hours. The best I could do was to improve some technical aspects of my art, but at the end of the day, there was no tangible product that I could confidently hold up and say, here is my comic book, or here is my art book, or whatever. Nothing is completed. Everything is stuck in the pre-production phase. Don't get me wrong, I am a concept artist mainly, but concept art is ultimately a part of a product, not a standalone thing. You can't really treat concept art the way you treat a classical artwork or an abstract painting to hang on your wall. And traditional art to be hung on the wall is not really my focus. I'm a very product-oriented person where the art I produce has to be something that I can actively use, be it for functionality or just for entertainment. That is why I chose to be a concept artist and writer. The fourth struggle I deal with is not having a good work-life balance. My current job has a couple good career prospects, but it's not the path I want to pursue for the rest of my life, nor does it align with my skill set or interests. I've been trying to shift into a full-time art career for years, mostly starring things on the side after work hours, but have never been able to make the transition due to how hectic my day work can be. and how it can bleed into after hours, as I explained earlier. Also, I haven't reached a point where I can create a sustainable income from my art. My nights are usually spent learning and trying to get my art career off the ground, so that leaves me burned out, physically and mentally exhausted, and not having time to practice my hobbies or spend enough time with my family and friends. So, is the only way to get anything off the ground is to quit my job and just try to build my art career and hope for the best, despite having no clients and not really being a good marketer? The pragmatic in me sees this as too risky, especially since unemployment here is high and I don't want to be a burden on my family. I'm always second-guessing my decisions and wondering if I'm even making the right ones or am I wasting my life. These thoughts can get too much and too depressing. I admit I've cried my eyes out in my bed so many times because I felt like a failure who didn't know how to achieve what she wanted. Then I would later think, maybe I'm just impatient, maybe I'm ignorant, or maybe I'm in an environment that doesn't allow me to grow. This thought opened all sorts of ideas like, maybe I should relocate, or maybe I should seek out my dreams elsewhere. Then you're slammed with the reality that where I'm from, getting a visa is expensive and difficult. Then if you do get it, you're hit with the realization that you can't really go to that country without already having some kind of job offer in hand, because you can't live there on your savings. The difference in currency value is so big, you'll have spent everything you saved and be homeless within a couple months. And man, don't get me started on the rejection letters. It's crushing to apply to hundreds of jobs and not be able to land a single one. Even with the current world situation, this is a whole topic for another time really. I think this work-life balance issue is going to be the most difficult and complex to address. I'm still trying to come up with a way to handle it realistically. As for the fifth and final struggle is discontentment, and this stems from my perfectionist streak. In some ways, I've come a long way. I've eventually learned to draw without judging myself too harshly. If the art isn't good, I move on. I create again, I'm only human. And my art being good or bad isn't gonna change the intrinsic value of me as a human being. I think this is something a lot of people struggle with. They've been conditioned to think that their worth is tied to how amazing of a job title they have, or how much work they've produced to gain somebody's approval, or how much money they make. This is so unhealthy and no way to live. It's a form of society-approved slavery. Your art or your work does not lower your value as a person if it doesn't come out great every time. Just keep moving and strive to do better. You're only human and you will never be perfect, and that's fine. Saying that, I believe there is something useful in never being fully happy with your work. It pushes you to innovate, to think outside the box, and gives you the drive to push yourself further. As long as you can do this without becoming your own poison, I think this is a struggle you and I can overcome. Now that I think of it, some of the best pieces I created were pieces where I wasn't too concerned about getting it right. I finished the art, looked at it, saw the mistakes, acknowledged them, and promised myself to do better on the next piece. A little self-deprecation internally towards myself works for me because it sets a fire in me, but nothing toxic or mentally damaging. Yeah, these are the 5 struggles I deal with all the time, and I hope speaking about them today helped someone else realize they're not alone. The art community online is pretty great, but I believe topics like this should be talked about more. Most people prefer to show their final artwork and not talk at all about how difficult or time-consuming or mentally draining being an artist is, especially when you're a working adult. There's this unfortunate habit of comparing yourself to others and then feeling like absolute garbage when you see someone with amazing art and they're so much younger than you, and you start to question your life choices. I mean, I've even heard of kids bullying older artists online because they quote-unquote draw better. I can only laugh at this because really, are you gonna compare a child's time to an adult's? It's a world of difference. A kid has a lot of free time and no responsibilities, but an adult doesn't. When you become an adult and sell your soul, time, to someone else for money, And one day that child is gonna learn why it's taking you so goddamn long to produce art. So calm down. Just calm down, Jake. You're not being fair to yourself when you compare yourself to another artist, period. You two are on very different paths and different timelines. It's okay to look at somebody else's art for inspiration. That's what we should all do. But the only person you should compare yourself to is the you from yesterday, and that's it. So that's it for this video. The takeaway is you're not alone. It's a long game. You're not lazy, so long as you're being honest about how you spend your time. And it's okay to make awful art, but don't dwell on it. And don't compare your skills to snobby kids. Please like the video and subscribe to my channel because my goal is to hit 300 subscribers this year. Honestly, I don't know how some people hit 10,000 in like 2 months. I have no idea how you can do this without reposting other people's video compilations or creating daily vlogs or whatever. But I'll be happy if I hit 300 this year. So please do it. Hit the subscribe button for me. It'll make my entire week. Thank you so much and stay safe.